Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am Joey Francis, your life, love, and relationship coach. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've been married for years, or you've been with the same someone long enough to know the exact sound they make when they're annoyed, there's a good chance you've experienced some version of what I'm about to say. It may have happened to you. You may have done it to your partner or someone else. And if we're being honest, both most likely are true because nobody gets through a long-term relationship as the perfect innocent angel. At some point, everyone has been annoying. Everyone has been annoyed. Everybody has said something sharper than they should have. And everybody has looked at their partner doing a basic household task and thought, how have you survived this long? But today's episode isn't about the dishwasher. Although, let's be honest, the dishwasher has probably ruined more peaceful evenings than we're willing to admit. This episode is about what happens when someone tries to show up in the relationship and gets made fun of or gets made to feel bad for trying. See, that's the real issue because relationships don't always lose warmth from one massive betrayal. Sometimes the warmth disappears through small moments that look or that don't look serious at first. A tone, a correction, a rejection, a sarcastic comment, a look at says, "Why are you like this?" And because each moment seems small, most people, they just brush it off. But those moments teach. Over time, your partner starts to understand what it feels like to come toward you. If helping usually leads to criticism, people notice. If affection is often met with irritation, they feel it. If asking for support turns into conflict, they remember. And eventually, they adjust. And see, that is when the relationship begins to change. It may not happen dramatically. The change can be quiet. It could be something simple, less joking around, less touching, less effort, more silence, more logistics, more of that roommate energy. The house may still function. The bills still get paid. Life still looks normal from the outside. But inside the relationship, something starts to feel cold. And then people act confusedly. Later, when the relationship feels cold, people start asking, what changed? The affection faded. The help disappeared. Conversations became flat. The person who used to reach for them started keeping more distance. And sometimes the answer is uncomfortable. They stopped reaching because reaching started to hurt. Let me give you an everyday type of example. Imagine someone trying to help around the house. They're folding laundry, cleaning the kitchen, cooking dinner, putting things away, or fixing something that has been sitting broken for weeks. Well, everyone else in the house pretended it's not there. See, they're trying to be useful. Then their partner walks in and immediately starts correcting. Why are you doing it like that? Hold on a second. That doesn't go there. No. That's wrong. You know what? Just stop. I'll do it myself. Now, one correction isn't the end of the world. People have different ways of doing things. Some people fold towels like normal human beings. Some people fold towels like they're preparing a display at a spa. Some people load a dishwasher with strategy. And other people, they load it like the plates personally offended them. Fine. That's life. But when correction becomes the atmosphere of the relationship, the person being corrected doesn't just learn a better way to fold towels. They start learning that their effort is a problem. And after a while, helping feels risky. They don't know if they're going to be appreciated or inspected. They don't know if they're stepping into a partnership or walking into another performance review. So guess what they do? They stop volunteering. Then months later, the other person says, "You never help around here." And maybe by that point, They don't. But sometimes it's worth asking why. Because sometimes the person who stopped helping didn't stop because they were lazy. They stopped because every attempt became embarrassing, tense, or criticized to death. That doesn't mean they get a free pass. Adults should contribute. If you live in a house, you should participate in the house. If you have children, you don't get to act like you're guest starring in your own family. Basic responsibility should not require a parade. But hold on a second. There's another truth sitting beside that one too, though. If you want someone to participate, they need the room to participate without being micromanaged into resentment. You can't ask for help and then attack every imperfect attempt. At that point, you don't want support, you want control. And listen, I get it. Some people have very specific ways they like things done. And I guess that's fine. But if the towel is folded differently and still fits in the closet, maybe let the towel live. If dinner was ordered instead of cooked and everybody got fed, maybe just call it a win. Not every difference in method needs to become a statement about competence. Different is not always wrong. Now, let's move on to another kind of moment. Imagine someone walks up to their partner and tries to hug them. Maybe they're being playful. Maybe they're flirting. Or maybe they just had a random thought of, you know what, I really love this person and I want to bother them with hugs and kisses. Which, by the way, should be and is a real part of long-term love. Sometimes love is beautiful and romantic, and other times it's someone bothering you while you're clearly doing something and hoping you find it adorable. So they go in for the hug and their partner pulls away with irritation. Stop! You're being annoying. Now, before anybody twists this into something it's not, your body is still your body inside a relationship. Nobody's entitled to touch you whenever they want. You're allowed to need space. You're allowed to be tired, stressed, overwhelmed, distracted, not in the mood, or just not wanting physical contact at this very moment. That part, non-negotiable. But the way you communicate it matters. There's a big difference between saying, honey, give me a minute. I'm overwhelmed. And saying, stop. You're so annoying. See, one protects your boundary. The other makes your partner feel unwanted. And if someone feels unwanted enough times, guess what? They learn. They start protecting themselves. They stop taking the same emotional risks. The random hugs become rare if they just don't stop all completely. The flirting slows down. Playfulness starts to feel dangerous. Then, somewhere down the road, someone says, you don't show that you love me anymore. Like, we're not affectionate anymore. And guess what? They're probably right. But before asking why the affection disappeared, maybe it's fair to look at how that affection was received when it was still being offered. See, that's the uncomfortable part. Self-awareness. A lot of people miss the version of their partner that used to reach for them, but they don't always remember how they responded when that person was still reaching. And listen, this goes both ways. A husband can make his wife feel needy for wanting closeness. A wife can make her husband feel annoying for trying to be affectionate. A boyfriend can criticize his girlfriend until she stops sharing. A girlfriend can dismiss her boyfriend until he stops opening up. This is not a gender issue under any circumstance. I mean, this whole podcast, I try to stay right down the center here. This is a relationship atmosphere issue. What does it feel like to come toward you? Because that's the question. See, some people are very easy to love in theory, very hard to approach in real life. Some people want closeness in theory, but it make it hard to approach them in real life. Affection gets treated like an interruption. Help gets criticized instead of appreciated. Honesty turns into conflict. Playfulness starts to feel embarrassing. And eventually, the partner adapts because they learned the rules of the room. Now, there's another story we have to bring into this because this episode can't only focus on the person who feels rejected or criticized. There's also the person who feels like they're carrying everything. Picture someone saying, I have to do everything around here. I have to tell my partner what needs to be done. I have to remind them again. Then, when they finally do it, it's done so badly that I might as well done it myself. I feel like I'm living with a child. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, a lot of you guys out there probably understand this and resonate with it. Especially when someone works, comes home exhausted, looks around, and feels like the entire house is sitting on their shoulders. The laundry, the dishes, the meals, the kids, the appointments, the school forms, the groceries, and the emotional calendar of everyone's life. That weight builds resentment when it isn't shared. So when that person says, I need help, it may not come out as a request. It may come out as someone barking an order. It comes out with sarcasm. It comes out through slammed cupboards and that very specific sighs that says, apparently I'm the only adult here. And let's be honest, nobody has ever felt love by slamming cupboards. The problem is that the other person usually reacts to the tone instead of hearing the need underneath it. One person says, I'm asking for help. The other person says, no, you're talking to me like I work for you. That's where couples get stuck because both people have a point. You can't treat someone like an employee and expect them to show up like a partner. But see, you can't also act like a helpless visitor in your own home and expect your partner to stay soft forever. That is the balance. Some people really do need to step up. They've been too passive. They've allowed their partner to carry too much. They wait to be asked instead of noticing what needs to be done. Then, when they finally do something basic, they act like they deserve a standing ovation. Well, no. Putting your socks in the hamper is not heroism. That's just being civilized. So yes, some people need to contribute more. Pay attention. Learn how your own home runs. Stop making your partner carrying the mental load, then getting annoyed when they tell you what needs to be done. At the same time, the person asking for help has to look at how they're asking. A request should bring someone in closer. A command puts them beneath you. When you say, can you take over bath time tonight while I clean the kitchen? I'm overwhelmed and I need us to work together. You're giving your partner a clear way to help. When you say, really? I have to do everything myself? You may be telling the truth, but you're also lighting the match. And I understand why it happens. By the time someone speaks that way, they're usually already exhausted. They've already asked, they've already felt unseen. They may be speaking from the frustration of doing too much for too long. But if the only way you ask for support is through anger, you may get compliance, but you're going to get it without closeness. And see, here's the thing. Partnership. We love each other. Closeness is what you actually want. You don't just want the garbage taken out. You want to feel like you're not alone in the life you're building. You want a partner, not another responsibility. So say that. Tell them you're overwhelmed. Tell them you need the two of you to feel like a team. Tell them you can feel resentment building and you don't want that to become the relationship. Tell them you need to notice more before you reach the point of breaking down. See, that kind of honesty has a better chance of being heard. And if you're the person being asked, don't use the delivery as an excuse to ignore the responsibility, because that happens too. Someone says it badly. Now the whole conversation becomes about tone. Well, I would help, but I don't like how you asked me. Okay, maybe the tone was bad. That still doesn't mean the need underneath it disappears. Are they drowning? Have they been carrying too much? Have they asked before and felt ignored? A bad tone does not excuse disrespect, but it may be pointing to a real problem. If you care about the relationship, ask what's underneath it. What do you need from me right now? That question can change everything, because partnership means being cared about. Partnership means caring about the need underneath the complaint, while still caring about how the two of us or the two of you speak to each other. That's the work. When we bring these stories together, the pattern becomes clear. A corrected person may stop helping. A rejected person may stop reaching. An overwhelmed person may start asking through resentment. And that's how couples begin protecting themselves from each other. One person tries to control the room, the other withdraws. Criticism enters, silence follows, and because everyone feels hurt, everyone believes their reaction is justified. But justified reactions can still damage a relationship. Your reaction may make sense. You might be exhausted, rejected, overwhelmed, or tired of feeling like nothing changes. But if the way you protect yourself keeps making the relationship less safe, the reason doesn't erase the damage. And see, this is why I continuously say self-awareness matters. See, this is the point where the episode has to stop being about your partner and start being about you. Because it's very easy to listen to this and think, yes, Joey, exactly. My partner needs this episode. No. Well, I mean, probably yes. But you need it too. You need to ask yourself, how do you respond when your partner tries? Do you notice effort before you correct the method? Does affection still feel welcome, even when the timing is wrong? When you need help, do you speak like someone who wants partnership, or do you sound like a manager who's tired of bad staff? If your partner brings up hurt, do you get curious, or do you start defending yourself before they even finish the sentence? And when you're overwhelmed, are you explaining the need or attacking the person for not already knowing it? That's where the work begins. Most people, they don't think they're rejecting their partner. They think they're stressed, busy, overwhelmed, honest, or simply right. And sometimes you are. But being right doesn't automatically mean you're being loving. That's where couples start to lose each other. They fight to be right and forget to be connected. If you're the person who feels pushed away, corrected, or rejected, you have to say something. Silence may feel safer, but it isn't repair. Withdrawing protects you from embarrassment in the short term. It also starves the relationship over time. Again, I understand why people do it. If you don't try, you can avoid the rejection. If you don't help, you avoid the criticism. Hey, if you don't reach, nobody can push you away. But that protection comes with a very expensive cost. Eventually, your partner is living with a colder version of you, and they may not understand how you got there. So bring it up when things are calm. Not during the fight, not while you're folding laundry with the aggression of someone building a legal case. not while both of you are already defensive. Choose a better moment when both of you are calm. In fact, I'm pretty sure I didn't invent this idea, but I love this idea and I've used it myself, including telling other people. Schedule a time every 2 to 3 weeks to discuss exactly these types of things. Essentially, a safe environment for both of you to essentially air out anything and everything, but not with aggression, with compassion and understanding. You have to be very specific. When I try to help and I get corrected right away, I start feeling like I can't do anything right. I know you may not mean it, but that's how it lands for me. Or when I try to be affectionate and I get pushed away harshly, I start feeling unwanted. And I know you're allowed to need space. I'm just asking for a nicer way for you to say it to me. And you can also say, when you tell me you feel alone with everything in the house, I want to understand what you need from me. But I also need us to talk in a way that doesn't make me feel like your employee. These are real conversations. And it's going to be awkward. Fine. Awkward is better than resentment. And if you're the person hearing this from your partner, don't rush to defend yourself. Remember compassion. This isn't easy for most people. The ego loves a courtroom. It wants evidence, dates, examples, screenshots, and a closing argument. But your partner is not asking to admit guilt. They're giving you access to their experience. Don't waste that moment trying to prove them wrong, because essentially you're trying to tell them that they shouldn't be feeling something. Get curious instead. Don't turn it into a courtroom. Find out when it feels that way, what you said that landed badly, and what would make the next moment easier for both of you. That's what care and compassion look like. And care is what repair needs. If you only care about proving your intentions were pure, you'll keep hurting people and calling it a misunderstanding. Now, how do you stop the pattern? Start smaller than you think. If your partner helps, thank them before you correct anything. And I mean a real thank you, not the kind that sounds like it came with a knife. Say, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate you. Then if something needs to be adjusted, speak with respect. Do you think it would be okay if I show you how I usually do it? And that could possibly land better. Instead of, why do you do it like that? But here's the thing, honestly, if the task is getting done, maybe learn to live with it rather than making it a teachable moment. If your partner reaches for affection and you don't want it right then, protect the connection while you protect your space. Try this. I love you, but I'm really feeling overwhelmed right now. Even, I love that you love me like this, but could we please be close later? That can change the entire emotional temperature of the moment. That tells your partner the timing is wrong, not what they're doing is wrong. If you need help, ask clearly. Don't hint through anger. Don't slam things and hope your partner suddenly develops psychic powers. Don't walk around citing like you're starring in a one-person play called Nobody Helps Me. Ask what you need. Can you handle dinner tonight? Can you take the kids for an hour? Do you mind cleaning the kitchen before bed? Be clear, be respectful, and be direct. And if you're the person being asked, do the thing without needing a marching band. Chances are you live there too. That is your home. That life requires both of you. If you don't know what needs to be done, start noticing or ask. My love, what needs to be done tonight so that we can both sit down sooner? That question is literally romance for adults. I'm telling you right now, at a certain age, romance is not always candles and roses. Sometimes romance is hearing, sweetie, you don't have to worry about it. I already handled it. And just a sidebar here, I've seen a million women's profiles on dating sites and a million women that I've talked to that say that's attractive. And if you don't believe me, ask any woman yourself. Now, let's talk about quality for a second, because yes, effort matters, but effort also has to be real. See, if someone does a task badly on purpose so they won't be asked again, that is not an innocent mistake. That's weaponized incompetence. And we should call that what it is. If someone says, I don't know how to do laundry, but they can use a phone to Google something you said to prove you wrong, maybe they can figure out the laundry too. I mean, as adults, generally speaking, we shouldn't be able to learn. And see, partners will want to learn. Nobody is born knowing how to run a home, communicate well, love gently, or manage stress. These are skills. If the relationship matters, you should be willing to learn them, or they should be willing to learn them. But learning requires room to try. You have to let them try. They have to let you try. There has to be balance. The person doing the task needs to make a real effort. The person receiving the effort needs to allow space to learn. That is how two people become a team. Not through control or resentment, through patience, communication, humility, and the willingness to admit, maybe I'm contributing to this too. That last part is where many people struggle. Everybody wants the other person to change first. The overwhelmed person waits for help before they soften. The withdrawn person waits for softness before they help. The affectionate person waits for warmth before they reach again. The touched out person waits for better timing before they respond with kindness. And around it goes until both people are stuck in a vicious circle where everyone is waiting and nobody is moving. Somebody has to interrupt the pattern. Someone has to be mature enough to say, I don't like how we're doing this. See, it doesn't blame one person. It doesn't crown the other person as innocent. It puts the pattern in front of both of you and says, this is what we're doing. This is what we need to do for this to work. That's where a relationship should be. The problem is the pattern. The two of you are supposed to be a team. Again, partnership. This isn't about me versus you or you versus me. If you've already stopped trying, be honest before the silence becomes permanent. You can say, I've noticed I've pulled back. And I don't want that to become who I am in this relationship. See, that sentence is powerful because it takes accountability without pretending nothing happened. Then explain it. Tell them you started pulling back because helping felt criticized, affection felt rejected, or you didn't know how to talk about what was happening inside you. That gives the relationship a chance to understand you. And if you're the person who feels overwhelmed, don't wait until you hate your partner before asking for support. See, a lot of people wait until resentment is already sitting at the table, eating snacks, and making itself comfortable. By then, even a simple request comes out sounding like a relationship is on trial. Ask earlier, ask clearer. And if you've asked before and nothing has changed, make the conversation more serious, not more vicious. Say, I'm becoming resentful because I feel alone with the responsibilities. I don't want to feel that way towards you. We need a better system. That is direct. That is honest. That is an attempt to protect the relationship because the goal is not winning the argument. When two people in a relationship argue, nobody wins. Not proving who does more, not keeping score until both of you feel defeated. The goal is to stop the relationship from becoming a place where both of you feel alone. And listen, grand gestures are nice. Vacations are nice. Date nights are nice. Flowers, compliments, surprise dinners. All of that is beautiful. But the health of a relationship is usually decided on a Tuesday. The kitchen, the hallway, the 5 minutes before bed, the request for help, the rejected hug, the imperfect attempt. That's where love is either protected or damaged. So the next time your partner helps, pause before correcting. When they reach for you, soften your response if you need space. If you need support, ask before resentment takes over. And when your partner brings up hurt, listen before defending. These are small changes, but small changes repeated over time become the relationship. That's the part people miss. You don't usually wake up one day in a cold relationship by accident. You got there through repeated moments. Repair works the same way. You don't fix everything overnight. You create different moments. A calmer correction, a clearer request, a real thank you, a softer no, a more honest conversation. That's how you gain warmth back. Because love needs more than commitment. Love needs an environment where people can keep coming towards each other without feeling punished for doing it. And that's the point I want to leave you with. If your partner stopped helping, look at what happened when they tried. If they stopped touching you, look at how they were received when they reached. If they seem distant, ask whether closeness has felt safe. If they don't step up, ask whether you've made room for them to do things differently while still expecting real effort. And before you blame everything on the person beside you, ask the harder question. What does it feel like to be loved by me? That question should humble you a little bit, if you let it. That question may also potentially save your relationship. Because sometimes the person you love doesn't need another lecture. They don't need another sarcastic comment. They don't need to be treated like a child. And they don't need to feel needy for wanting affection. They need to feel like trying with you is safe. If both of you can give each other that, you might be surprised by what returns. The help, affection, playfulness, teamwork, and warmth can all come back when people stop feeling punished for reaching. So, if this episode made you think of your partner, I mean, not good, but good self-awareness, but make sure it also makes you think of yourself. Because the relationship you have is not only shaped by how your partner loves you, it's also shaped by what it feels like to love you. And that is worth thinking about. Thank you so much for being here. I can't express how grateful I am for you. And I truly hope that this podcast, these episodes, my thoughts and beliefs help you. And if they can help you and you want to reach out to me, you can go to joeyfrancis.com. That's JOEYFRANCESS.com. And there you can check out my book, send me a message, or reach out if you have a story, a question, or something you want to talk to me about. And before I go, I want you to remember this. Before you ask why they stopped showing up, ask yourself what happened the last time they did. Until next time.